All right, alhamdulillah and assalamu alaikum. All praises are due to Allah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and we send salutations upon His beloved Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Assalamu alaikum again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh wa maghfiratuh. Welcome. Good evening, Ummah. Thank you for joining us at Serious and Sincere, where we attempt to conduct matchmaking efforts around the Quranic principle of creating tranquility based on like for like. Surah 33, verse 35. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum, Auntie Ma. Assalamu alaikum, Young Muji. It's nice to see y'all this evening. We are honored to welcome a pair of special guests. We are waiting for that clay couple, Brother Hassan and Sister Naaila Clay, who are relationship, I would say experts, marriage counselors, family counselors. They do a huge service to the Ummah, and they're going to talk about being on the road to courtship this evening. So I plan to take notes. Inshallah, y'all take notes. If you have questions, write them down, type them in. We're looking for people. I don't know how to go back. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Barry. Nice to see you. I have my young Legos warrior over here right now. Welcome, Lady Nick. It's nice to see you. If anyone has any questions or would like to join the camera while we wait. Here we are. Okay, I'm trying not to be starstruck. Okay, the celebrities have entered the building. Okay, here we go. Waiting. So excited. This is my first live interview. Oh, with people who matter. Assalamu alaikum. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, I'm going to calm down for a minute. Wait a minute. Okay, because I'm sized. Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Sadadeen. Live from Atlanta, Georgia, y'all. It's the Clay couple. Okay, I'm trying to clear my screen. How are y'all doing this evening?
We're great. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm grateful. Okay, Sister Naaila, Brother Hassan, the last time I saw y'all was in person at the Amina and Amin Watson wedding reception. Yes, that was almost a decade ago. Life has been awesome.
They're still married.
They are. You know what? Because something tells me they took the right paths on the road to courtship.
Yeah.
So, yes, we're looking forward to what you all can share with us, because I'm used to seeing you drop jewels on Facebook. But yes, this is going to be awesome this evening, inshallah. Can you enlighten us, please? What are some things we need to prepare ourselves for getting ready for the road to courtship?
I would say the very first thing, also the very first thing that we cover in our premarital counseling course is for each of you to know what values, principles you have in common and how you would like to live them out. Because two people could, have ideas about budgeting. And for
yes,
that's important. I do that.
It'll be something totally different.
Maybe something completely different. And that's just one example. But knowing what that is. Now, this is where people get caught up. They find commonalities. Oh, you like that? I like that too. You do that? I do that too. You drive an Altima? I drive an Altima too. There are thousands of people who drive. There,
Millions of people.
there are millions, right? There are millions of people who like to do some of the same things that you like, but that doesn't mean that you.
Right.
That doesn't mean that you can merge a lifestyle, which will be the second point. That is, let's say Hassan and I, we are great together. We talk because y'all know most people that many of them are meeting online, and so if you have some kind of virtual digital connection as your do two things. Make sure that you can follow through. It does no good we're in Atlanta and to start talking to someone who's in Detroit. And you know your coins don't let you go to Detroit for a visit. You know that your life, your job, maybe your child custody arrangement doesn't allow you to relocate to Detroit or move to Atlanta. Y'all stop. Because what happens is people are getting attached, emotionally connected, and then despite all odds, despite whatever it is right there in front of their faces, they're still trying to make that work, and you can't. Sometimes they're just trying to force it, and it's not it's not working. And they say, "Oh well, there's nothing wrong with a long distance marriage." There isn't when the plan is for that to be temporary.
Okay.
But if you know that long term, I really don't see how you and I are going to live together. Leave it alone.
I know I had once a sit down. I was conducting a sit down with two people, and she lived in one city and did not want to relocate, and he wanted somebody to relocate to come to where he was, and he still wanted to try to conduct a sit down, and I told him that there's no need to.
For what?
For what? Because she's not going anywhere. At that time, the only thing you're going to do is be in each other's face. But then there's nothing really that can kind of come about from this, because she didn't want to relocate and he didn't want to relocate to where she lived. Right? So that's one of the things that I would definitely tell people is you got to have the right budget.
We got the marriage budget. You got to have a right marriage budget, and that's not about paying for a nikah or paying for a wedding reception. Even courtship ain't free. Courtship costs, and if you can't have these face-to-face and direct interactions during courtship, how are you going to do it when you get married? Which goes into the other part of what I was talking about in regard to merging your lifestyles. So the other part of that is, let's say that I like Hasan, he likes me, but he doesn't like my parenting, and I don't really like his mother or his father, and I don't really like how his extended family, how they move. They might be a little too non-Muslim for me, and my family, they may be a little, and I'm gonna say what he said, bougie.
Okay. I have heard that. Okay.
my family may be a little bougie for him. However, you have to look at whether or not those are two things that the two of you can bring together. Because just because we like each other, you're bringing children together, you're bringing families together, you're bringing incomes together. And we see many couples where they are if they lived isolated, it was just the two of them, their relationship would be perfect. But then you bring in their kids, maybe even their adult children, and then you bring in exes, baby daddies, baby mamas, ex-wives, ex-husbands. Oh, I didn't know that you and your ex, y'all got down like that. And when I say got down like that, and I'm not always meaning that it is so distasteful, or bad vibes or mean energies. We have seen instances in which someone has a very close relationship with their ex. Have you created space for a spouse to fit into that? And there were times when it wasn't there. And what was needed to make room for the triangle, you know, for the three parents to exist, they weren't willing to do that. And so you have to look at am I going to be able to blend with everything that comes with you? There are a lot of things that come with Hassan, and me too, all of us. You've got your family, you've got your history, you've got your network, you've got your job history. You have so much that, you know, we always call it baggage, but it doesn't have to be, you know, something negative. You bring the totality of who you are as a person, and whatever or whoever that is, can you mesh your life with that? And sometimes people can't. I just like you. I don't want your family. I don't want your kids. Matter of fact, I don't even want your money. You know what? I'm so doubtful that I'm going to marry you and I'm going to keep my apartment that I'm renting. I don't even own it. But I'm going to keep my apartment because I don't know. If you that don't get married.
Well, and I mean, right now, and even in that, we're talking about the courtship. I think it's going to be important that having realistic conversations, getting beyond the I like you, you like me, or the appeal, the physical appeal of a situation, having a true and complete conversation with the person that you are trying to court, right? What are some things, instead of just the surface of I like this, you like that, or whatever, tell me how you like that. I think that is being very important.
Well, then the other part of that is where Hassan is saying have these conversations. We completely agree, but people don't have them. We see you, baby. People don't have them because they are so uncomfortable. Well, we didn't talk about that. For what reason did you leave that off? Well, because that was we talked about it, and then it got a little tense, so we left it alone. Well, your wedding date is 3 months away. And
question: how realistic do people need to be with themselves then? Because a lot of times people talk themselves into believing that they can be what they believe this other person is looking for long enough for that marriage to kick off, and then we'll see what happens.
And someone, okay, let me be sure I understand. You said how much do people need to be real with themselves because they tell themselves,
because if you're not realistic with yourself, right? If you're delusional anyways, and you believe all these things are possible that you believe you want, you know what I'm saying? Because they sound good on paper. They look good to you when you see other people enjoying them, but it's not you, right? You're willing to put up the front to get a real person, right? You kind of like sabotaging, you sabotaging your road to courtship at that point. So how much of that can really be avoided if you're not being real with yourself?
Well, the thing is that a person who is not being authentic and genuine, there are two things. There are a couple of. It's just not going to match up. If you tell me that's who you are, I'm going to see it in your life.
Okay.
It's going to show up. So, like one of the things we do in our premarital counseling, and we talk about it in our book, is what's something that people say that they are often. I'm easygoing. Okay.
Religious.
Yes. I'm religious. I'm easygoing. How are you easygoing? And you won't talk to your brother in 2 years because you got mad with him over some money. How are you? That's not easygoing behavior. Okay.
Because you're not realistic with yourself. Yeah, and you're not realistic with yourself.
Right.
Well,
okay.
No, and it's not even that. Too, I think a person will look at themselves as they believe them to be themselves to be, a particular way.
But they
right?
haven't gathered
But
the internal proof.
Well, and they haven't been able to give what it is that you are looking for in that, because they may believe that about themselves, but if you are to dig in a little deeper and ask them, how does that show up?
Right. In your life.
In your life right
now. Because
how to ask questions.
Who you, that's who, if this is who you are, you do this married or unmarried.
Right.
Yes.
And
yes. Know how to ask
questions.
See
that this person is or is not that. Now, what happens is that we take their word for it, and people get emotionally attached and emotionally invested, and they don't even ask the question, or they may get the answer and it's not an answer that they like, so they just ignore it because I like them. I want married. You know, and like Hassan was saying, you're religious. How so? What does that mean? You know, because that can be defined so many different ways, and you think that the two of you are equally yoked, and then you find out 7-8 years into the marriage, oh, and I'll give you an example. You know, this couple, they believe that they are spiritually, you know, aligned. They read together, they pray together, they have the same community, and then a couple of years later into the marriage, it's not that he decides to take another wife. He said, I want to do muta. And she says, you want to do muta? Why would you think muta? For what reason you think muta is appropriate? That's not okay. You know, what's up? He's like, I always thought muta was okay. She's like, you did? I didn't know. And see, these are the things where you don't. When a person says they are religious, what are those fundamental parts, and how do they live that out? And you don't know. Now, the only thing you can do, sure, you got to ask them and see, but people will give you a lot of information. How do we miss the information? 2 ways. One, as we said, we stop asking questions, and 2, people get married so quickly. Tell Brother Garrett, sound like.
Hey, wali, sound like wakil.
We gotta get the shout out. So Hassan can't see him. But people get married before. They get married too soon. I'm not gonna say too quickly. I'm just saying with not enough time for you to be able to see that.
I mean, that is quick though.
Right.
Yeah.
Running from it. I mean, it is too quick.
But for some people, they may get the information in 5 months, and another couple, it may take them 10 months. You know,
right?
But we talking about people who get married in 5 days.
Okay, them
you know
too.
What I mean, they ain't getting no information. In 5 days.
Okay, because what he's talking about is a true story.
You know, ain't nobody getting no information with one encounter with each other. Then they're going to be married. That's a jump off. That's not a marriage. You know what I mean? So, you know.
It works for some people. It works for some people. You know, most people thought it don't work out like that. No, brother. Really, Aki? Come on now.
Oh.
Wait a minute now. Okay. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so that brings me to my next question. When do we introduce the children to these people? When is it okay to introduce the children?
Now that's tricky.
That's tricky, and because you also have to take the ages of the children into consideration.
Okay.
When children are younger, you can get very creative about that. So let's say it's Hassan and I have children ages, I'm gonna, 2 to 10. And at 10, I'm stretching it, but I'm going to go that high. Now, the older children, a 10-year-old probably going to understand, he like my mama, right? However, do things like, can you meet me at the park? You know, you meet me at the park with the kids. We go to Dave and Buster's with the kids. Something kid oriented, not something that the two of y'all want to do where you take the kid.
Okay.
Do something
Okay.
children oriented and see how that interaction goes. See how the vibe is. It is much different with teenagers. Because with teenage they know what's up. So you can't play with that. And sadly, I don't like this, but very often, you know, many teenagers, their parents may have been divorced a couple of times. And so, you know, if I have someone who I've been married 3-4 times and I'm bringing Hassan home, they ain't real excited. They thinking he gonna be going too. Because they're old enough to have seen, you know, your parent get divorced and remarried and divorced and remarried. So when they're younger, there are ways that you can do it. Now, with older children, we would say as soon as the two of you really believe that it's possible that you want to get married, but leave some space. Because this is what people do. So what's this? It's July. So let's say I introduce Hassan to my kids in July. But then he and I, we get married in September. But he and I, we've been in conversation and talking. We've been courting for 6 months. He and I had 6 months to fall in love, to become attached. And these kids, what? They had less than 60 days and they're supposed to be on board.
Mm-hmm.
And so while children will go along with it, because honestly, what choice do they have? You know, they're very resilient, and they do have to go along with whatever it is that their parents decide. But you do want their cooperation, because if you don't have their cooperation, they can make life really bad for you, for the two of you, for your marriage. And not because it's intentional either. But it is a reaction to what is actually going on. You'll see defiance. You'll see anger. You'll see depression. I remember a couple of months ago, I was talking to this particular sister and asked her, you know, she had teenagers. And I asked her, how are your teens? What is their thought process about you remarrying? And she said, oh, no, they're fine. You know, they're okay with it. And I had to let it go. You know, that's all the information. She's since divorced, but I'm here to tell you they're not. They're not even on speaking terms right now.
Her and her children?
Yes, her children. And they're not adults. They live with family members, and they are not speaking to their mother. Anger. And so we have to be very, very, you know, very careful. So when a teenager says, I'm okay with it, do it, probe a little bit more. Don't just take that. Because, I'll be honest, their thought is, you're going to do what you want to anyway, mama. You're going to do what you want to anyway, dad. You know? But go a little deeper and see. Because very often, even if they are okay, tell me what makes it okay. What's different this time? If you are.
Because it's more about reassurances in a sense, too. Because they may have seen it, and then they know that they're going to have some changes in their life as well. So it's more about some reassurances that can kind of take place.
That goes back to asking the right questions and knowing how to ask the right questions. So people need to develop like a sense of critical thinking when it comes to being on the path to courtship then. But that comes from being considerate of people in general. So if you're not considerate of people in general, maybe it's just something you're going to struggle with.
Right. I mean, yes. Well, I think the key thing, though, is understanding that it is, because this thing that you say about consideration, people become so considerate that they don't ask questions. I didn't want to ask that because I didn't want to offend. I didn't want to ask that. Well, did you ask about sex? No, I don't want him thinking I'm a freak. Well,
oh Lord, it's just the flip side is just as bad,
well,
sis. But okay.
You need to know his freak level.
Yes, you do, because he might not have one. He'll be sleeping on the bed of tumbleweed. But okay.
Or she may not have one.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
I'm gonna talk about it. Brothers be who are sexually experienced and they want to marry a virgin. Okay, mashallah, there's nothing wrong with that. Allah blesses you with that, and y'all are going to be good for each other. But see, you got a 50-50 chance. That virgin may turn out to be your own personal freak at home, just for you. Okay? Or she may end up being a very conservative woman sexually. You, on the other hand, because you've had more sexual experience, you may be a little bit, well, not a little bit, let's say a lot more liberal in and with your sexuality. You're willing to try more things. Matter of fact, you want her to, and she's like, what? Really? Boy, bye. I'm not that.
And sometimes it's the flip.
It is.
Yeah.
You're saying.
And sometimes it's the flip.
Right. It is. That's what we're saying. You know, either one may not be compatible in that in that realm. You know, and you know, you kind of have to find out what it is without diving into, you know, that old freak talk that you wind up doing. You know, you know, got on, playing with herself and all that other type of crazy stuff. You know,
Audus, not the Audu list. Oh no. Right. Oh no.
They do. You know what I mean? They be doing all that, right? And so, you know, and especially people who are in long distance relationships.
Because I tell it, Hassan, he can ask me that,
right?
But he asked me something else, and I'm like, Negro, really? No.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because had she done it, I was gonna cut her loose.
Okay. So wait, so where do we have these conversations then? Because another sister asked earlier, she said, do we have these conversations with the imam, with the mahram? Do we have them in public, one-on-one? Like, where do we facilitate these very necessary conversations?
Be present with anyone you feel uninhibited with.
Okay.
Whoever it is, if it's your wali, if it's, you know, the imam, whoever it is that each of you feel comfortable talking to each, you know, that person and saying that with. But I think
and okay, let's just be real, all right? Because more than likely, people are having these conversations one-on-one, right? They're not really, you know, they backdoor channeling, having conversations. They're doing various other things, right? So you have to be mindful of the conversation that you have, not going into lewdness, things of that nature, but asking real questions. You know, it ain't about, you know, well, what's your penis size or what's this or that, all these other things here. But, you know, what does that person have stamina issues? Right?
Yes.
You know, what are some, you know, if it is, you know, he may be lightweight ED. I don't know, or she may be.
I don't know no form of lightweight ED.
Well,
that's a bent.
Function is not lightweight.
But you know, herself, right? And so, what are some of those issues? She may even have, you know, either one of them may have even been sexually abused. You know, although they want companionship, sex might still be the intimacy part of a relationship. It might be an issue for them.
You know, have you been watching porn while you were unmarried?
Right.
And
You know,
then you decided
can't do that right now here.
you know.
she went to bed.
Okay.
And you know, have you been born while married? And are you, now that you have a spouse, are you done with that? You know, these are the conversations. But how do you say that? So you watch porn. So if we get married, you gonna stop watching porn? There's a way to do that.
Yes, yes. How much visual stimulus do you require?
Right.
Yes.
The key
Yes.
thing, though, is that when coming to premarital counseling, it allows us to present those questions.
Right.
And
that's a good one.
Right. So that's
we ask it.
We ask those
Yes.
questions.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Y'all don't have to say nothing. We do it for you.
We have a whole list of questions that we ask. You know what I mean? And you know, in like 6 different categories.
Okay. Do you ask people how they feel about the opposite sex? Yeah. Like, do you like men? Do you like men in general? Do you like women in general? Mm-hmm. You know, do you think Allah just put them here because, you know, he needed to fill in the space? Like,
what we do ask is, have you ever had a relationship or an attraction of someone of the same gender?
Oh, no, not like that. Like right. Well, we hear with the gender wars, right? The men sometimes sound like they just really don't like women like that. Like, they're not homosexual, but they just really don't like women like that. And some sisters, they just don't like men like that. It's like they hear because somebody got to work. Right. You know what I'm saying? Or women exist because somebody got to have babies.
Okay.
Yeah, and when you approach marriage like there's never going to be anybody good enough, but I need to get married because that's what I'm supposed to do. Right. You know, then you're going to sabotage the situation. How do people deal with that or identify, you know, that about themselves if they think they're okay?
But you know what? That usually comes out because I can think of a couple of, and Hasan, you know what I'm talking about, where we were working with this couple, and it was obvious that he just wanted, he had custody of his children, and it's obvious that we were just like, he don't want a wife, he wants a wife who's gonna take care of his kids.
A nanny.
Right, he wanted a nanny. Basically, he wanted a nanny, a halal nanny.
Yes, a nanny fanny. Yes, that's what he wanted.
But it was obvious to us.
Right.
But she didn't see it.
As you probe, and that's what I'm saying, you know, people always say, oh, that's a red flag. People do. But sometimes the red flag ain't in red. Sometimes, you know, it's a little light pink. Sometimes it's brick red. But people will give you indications, and it's just if you pick up on the cues. Because that situation that we're talking about, she still married him, and she divorced him. So that
he wanted to taste or something. Is that what it is? People want to taste. Like, ain't no other way to get a taste except to walk into the restaurant and ask to be seated. You know what I'm saying? Right. You don't plan to like stay for the whole meal. If you don't like the first bite, you out. Right. People just be wanting to taste.
Right. And kind of that's when the jump off thing come into play, right? And so a lot of times people want to get the sexual thing out of pawn, right? And they know that they really can't do it without being married, right? So then they go through all the formalities, and then I don't really like her. She cute, or he cute. Well, you know, I just need to get tightened up, and then we see what happens after that. And if I don't like her, well, I just kick her back and go get me another, or do something like. So you have people who taste each other like that.
Right. And honestly, I'm be honest, people like that aren't going to come to premarital counseling.
Okay.
And not with such obvious wrong intent. They're just not to premarital We're
Matter of
not.
fact, they're going to be the ones who say, what I need to go to somebody and get them tell me how to be a husband or be a wife, or, what I need to do this, because, they obviously have some things that they don't want to be exposed, right?
Okay.
So they're not really going to show up in those type of environments. And, then they're going to try to hoodwink you into going along with whatever it is that they're going along with.
And if they do come, this is what they never finish. Our course is 6 weeks.
Okay.
So they never finish. They may get to the 3rd class, and then we find out they got married. Yeah.
To somebody
No.
else.
Oh, to
To
that
each,
person,
to each other.
Okay. Okay.
They finish. We just find out y'all got married this weekend. Okay.
Then they want, well, can we do it as marriage counseling?
No.
That's not what we do. That's not how we do this.
That's not how we do this. And so what happens in those instances, so let's say, it doesn't matter which one of them says, I'm not going to marry you unless we go to premarital counseling. And so you start the premarital counseling. I went to 3 sessions. Meet me at the masjid.
Do the walis or the wakil sign off when it comes to premarital counseling? Do you have them in there too, or is it just couple?
Yeah, it was just a couple, because this is still, in a sense, this is still counseling. So there's still confidentiality, because there's going to be information that's going to be spoken that nobody really wants to be spreaded out and given out or whatever. Right.
Because we're going to ask things that your wali or your wakil
may not even know.
May not don't ask. And you may be shy. Right. You may be embarrassed by the information.
Yeah, I mean, even in some instances when it's been a sister who we even asked about maybe like sexual abuse or whatever, and she has some things, I even asked, do you want me to be able to leave the room? So I kind of have that conversation with you, so she could still have her honor and be protected. You know what I mean? The brother will still be there, obviously, because this needs to know, right? But I would leave the room, and then they can kind of work. They can work together in the sense, and then eventually they'll call me back. But then at that point, the brother kind of got some issues, because now he's affected, because the woman that he likes had this experience.
Well, and the two of you may very well be, pretty much sure you're going to get married. But you just found out that, okay, maybe sometimes he already knows. Let's say she's already shared it. And honestly, this sexual abuse can go either way.
Exactly.
But we're talking about in regard to else. But so sometimes the other person, they already are aware of it. But then you find out that it was her uncle that you just saw at her mama's house on Saturday. And so this is where we say, can you merge your lifestyle with this person? Are you going to be okay with going to family dinners, knowing that the man who violated your wife is at that table? Because this family functions that way. And you coming in are not going to change their design.
Exactly.
And so how are you and your wife going to handle that, where you protect her and still honor her maintaining her family tie? Oh, we talk about that. But now you at the table and you want to take your fork and you want to stab Uncle Leo.
Yeah.
But we can have
the special fork from childhood. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Stop. People stop. They don't take, a step
further.
A step further.
A couple of steps further.
I'm not even going to use that same scenario, because, so let's say that, alhamdulillah, this is not my family. I'm just using a hypothetical. So let's say that's my family. That's my Uncle Leo who has violated me. Hassan and I get married. He's decided, okay, if we go somewhere and he's around, as long as he don't bother you, I'm going to be okay. But you cannot go unless I'm there, because that would be something he would say. But This is the other thing that we're going to say. Now, Hassan and I we want to have children together. But I come from a family where, do y'all have a family history of sexual violation? Do y'all have a family dynamic where it can happen and y'all still have the perpetrator come around? And what about my children? Is Uncle Leo the only one? Oh, he's not. Y'all got 2 more in the family. Okay, and now he doesn't have kids. You think he gonna want our children to go over there?
Not rightfully, and neither was she, most likely. But wow.
And these are the conversations that people are not having. And this is where you have to peel back that
Right.
And see, when, let's say you've been violated and you've decided, well, my family did what they could to protect. Maybe as a family unit, that is what you have decided. Sometimes families do work it within their own unit. But I come in, I'm like, oh no, this ain't how you do that.
Hell no. You know what I mean? That ain't gonna work.
That ain't how my family do that. And these are the conversations that you have to have. Really look at that. Look at those
and somebody in that guy, that brother, that whoever may not have it within himself. He may be eyeing this guy, looking at him, making sure he ain't moving around, to do something, and then that's going to make
other people uncomfortable.
Because he's zeroed in on him.
Yeah, but these are all the things that you need to find out about somebody, and y'all, you are not going to find it out in 2 weeks or even
not. Sometimes you don't find out in the first 6 months of marriage.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah,
able to find out everything. So we get
right.
not going to be able to find out everything, but you want to try to get as close as you possibly can to the questions asked that you have asked, answered rather, and you have to be able to not only have that question, but have probing questions and not just closed in questions, yes or no questions or whatever.
Right. We always try to stay away from those types of questions. Just because are leading. They're very leading. I can probably, based on.
Do you teach people how to ask those questions?
Yeah, like you can 2 ways. You can get a copy of our question. You can get that.
Okay.
You of course you can get it with our book. You can actually get just the questions itself, or you can work with us, because you can ask a question, but then there's something else behind it, and you don't hear it. And Hassan and I, we've been trained to pick up on it. And I'll give you an example. So the young lady, this was a Christian couple, and she wanted him to attend worship services with her more often. This was one of the things that she said, and when I see you as my husband, this is what I see you doing. So we asked him, okay, what are your blocks with that? And so what he said was, how was it he mentioned about, she goes to a really big church.
Right, she goes like a mega church. Right.
He said he goes to and he didn't like being around all those people. That's what he said.
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked him, I said, I heard you say you didn't like being around all of those people. It sounds like there's a story there. What is it? Well, then we learned that he had been in the military, and he had an incident where he was stuck.
But he's actually in Afghanistan.
In the Middle East, by himself for a whole day, and his job was to just keep himself alive until the military came back to get him. And because of that, he has an issue with being around crowds. His head is on a swivel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Able to hear that, because someone else would, so you don't like big churches. That's not what he said.
That's not what he said.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
pick up and you have to go back. And so people, we don't want people to take our questions. Okay, so what is your relationship with your family? And we don't want you reading them. Okay, next question.
Right.
That's not what
That's
it's
not
meant
designed for.
for.
It's not designed.
It is meant for you to have an initial question just to get the conversation started.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
each questionnaire, even if you don't know what to ask, you say, okay, I heard you talk about that. Tell me a little bit more about that. Keep talking.
So that's caring, right? Because you're only going to really want to ask those questions sometimes if you know to ask them, if you care enough to want the information so that you can use it to relate to this person in the best possible way.
Well, not only just relate, but there is going to be important information for you to carry on with. Right. Because
right.
I need to know this information because I have to be able to make decisions based upon the information that I'm getting. Right. This is a decision making tool, right? In order to be able to be informed and make an informed decision on moving forward with this person or not. Like I say, we've been in a situation where we ask questions and people decide based upon the answers of those questions.
I'm not marrying you.
I'm not marrying you.
But we like that.
Right.
and
yeah.
about it, but because this is what it is designed for, to help you go into this, making sure that you make the best possible marital plan for yourself. And it is not about making marriage goals. The first part is to decide who to marry. That needs to be a good choice.
Because we got, and for one, we ain't gonna say it's gonna stop all divorces. I mean, we have a very successful marriage rate, for people who taking our course. But the idea is that we have too many divorces that take place because people are going into it ill-informed.
And then, right. And then when they do get the information that they wish they had known before, they don't know what to do. And I can understand that. Mm-hmm. If Hassan and I had gotten married when we were in our 20s, Mal would have made 6 months.
Right.
I know that we would have known.
I mean, hell, even knowing it still take work. So that, I mean, you're not, because you know how to do it, you're not exempt from doing work of making the marriage work.
And
right?
You're not exempt from not feeling like doing the work at times. Mm-hmm. People are human. Right. Sometimes you don't want to.
Right. So things are happening, right? Things happen even though you doing what the best you can. But more of us going to it ill-equipped. So therefore it's easier for a relationship to become disposable. And so there's, besides with children, there's no real ties that's really taking place here.
Yeah, people will throw away a spouse, very, very quickly.
So unfortunately.
So choose wisely. If you're going to part in separate ways, the best time to do it is in courtship before you get emotionally attached.
Yes. You have to be realistic for that. Because some people just like emotional attachments anyways.
Oh, well, yeah, there are plenty of people who have no intention of getting married. They like connection.
Right. Well, and that a lot of our society has taught us that, to really deal in the emotion of love, or what they call love, and things that nature there that really has no substance. Right. But we're taught that that's the way to go. Right. But there is a factor in it that becomes very disposable, because a person can fall in love real easy and fall out of love just that easy.
Right. So, I want to say, if anything, for you to be mindful of, if you want to do some self-screening, there are things that we talk about in our premarital book, the L's, we call them cousins. Love, loss, And Lord have mercy, I forgot the other one. Loneliness.
Loneliness, right?
That's
Loneliness.
it. Love and loneliness. Those are three things where when people experience one of those, even in a fake state, or when they get in a place where, let's say you're lonely and you feel isolated and you want attention and you want companionship, it's real easy to get caught up in picking up them phones or answering those DMs and getting caught, in something, getting enmeshed in something with someone, knowing good and well you have no intention. And so look at yourself and ask, and I talk about this person because I feel euphoric when I speak to them, but it's really not anything truly there. 2, loss. Is there something I am missing that this person is doing for me in this moment? And that I really need to go get that, because I'm and in regard to the loneliness, are you sitting here bored? Are you sitting here lonely? Are you sitting here tired because it is your 5th year of being unmarried and you tired? But those 3 things, they can motivate you to try to get married, but it can also put you in a position where you're more readily willing to just accept anything.
True. What are some examples or recommendations you would make for people to soften their hearts towards marriage? Like to get yourself primed and ready to be receptive to what Allah sends you?
My first question to that is, what got you to the point where you were not receptive towards marriage?
Okay.
And I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's because of what you, I don't know if it's because everyone around you is getting divorced, or because you had a relationship and a divorce and you don't want to go there again. And so the first thing I'm going to say is that always be mindful that your past relationship history or the relationship status of another person has nothing to do with what Allah is capable of doing for you.
I mean,
what Allah can do can transcend all of that. So if we say we trust in Allah, while I am not going to dismiss your hesitation, but trusting in Allah also means having a willingness to move forward in that vein anyway.
Well, and I think there has to be an understanding of the institution of marriage, right? And so when you start having those things, understanding that there's going to be a sense of interdependence that needs to take place. There's going to be a sense of companionship that's going to take place, trust take place, and consideration that needs to take place, right? When you start understanding that institution, then you can respect the institution, and then you will get a partner, you will get a companion that also will respect the institution.
It's
right?
more likely that you'll attract,
right?
That you will attract that because that's where you're moving.
Right.
That there's some truth to, attracting energies.
Yeah.
And so that would be the first thing that I would say. The other thing, I'll get you some different people around you.
I mean,
because
people
responded in regard to relationships because they were around other people who are despondent about relationships. Switch your circle, sis. Switch your circle, bro.
Right.
There are people out there who are doing marriage well, and you need to connect with them. If you are around other folks with raggedy relationships, trust and believe you got a really good chance of repeating the same pattern. Switch up your circle. Your circle. There are some people out there.
The person on the dean of his friend. Right? Yeah. So beware of the people who you make your friend.
All right. Last one. Okay, Brother Hassan.
Yes.
If you were given the responsibility of delivering a message to bring the people together in marriage, right? And the khutbah, what would you say to them?
I'm not a khutbah person, right?
Yeah, yeah, khutbah.
Okay, this is a khutbah right here.
Right.
Okay, the talim and the khutbah. What would you say?
What I would say to a person getting married, that marriage is a fundamental part of our life, right? We all want companionship, and we have to do it the right way, right?
I mean,
and so having integrity, having some decency, some dignity, and some honor is the only way to really go about doing this situation, right? It is easy for people to have these irresponsible relationships, but at the end of the day, we still got to please Allah.
I mean,
And the only way that we can do that is follow the instructions that He gives for us to be able to do it. So that's my synopsis of khutbah, I guess.
alhamdulillah. Can we close this out with a brother having the last word? Because they swear sisters like to do all the talking. So I just like to be like, okay, the sister gave me the notice for 5 minutes to my grip. Yeah, and I think that was perfect.
MashaAllah. So guess that it for us. But I really do believe, alhamdulillah, that if we are in a position of honoring what Allah tells us to do and then working on it, ask the people who know, get the help when we are having struggles, doing these things what Allah asked us to do and instruct us to do, we will have better relationships, we have more lasting relationships. And then one of the things also, we'll teach our children how to have better relationships.
Okay, one little piece.
No, don't say nothing else.
Baby, you say it.
Okay, because they say the sisters say it.
Okay, well then, but you got the supposed to be, because how you think it's supposed to be and what Allah designed.
It's two different things. Okay, and so the idea too that you have to get rid of these ideas of what you think marriage is, and we have to really tune in and get in touch with what Allah said marriage is supposed to be, because the way you're doing it and the way Allah's recommend us to do it or instruct us to do it is two different things, and that's why we're not at work.
Okay.
That right there.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. This was an honor. Alhamdulillah. I believe at least 17 people watching now definitely enjoyed this as much as I did. Okay. I look forward to seeing y'all around the Ummah. I sure do.
Inshallah. I mean, you can pick up our premarital book at www.thatclaycouple.com. You can go to our shop. You can get our book. You can get our self-guided course. If you're only interested in the questions, you can contact us and you can get that too. But we really want marriages to work, to last.
Yes.
Yes, inshallah. Alhamdulillah. Thank y'all again so much. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Wa alaikum salam.